The more natural you are, the better for you. I don't know how to say this, but I would say from a man's perspective, the compliment I often get, even from men, is usually, if I take off my clothes, it's usually wow. I think that for me, I see that as a compliment. Why? Because when I'm dressed, I look like the normal man. I look normal. I wear a jacket, I wear a suit or a shirt, and everything is concealed. But when you take off your clothes, people are impressed with what they see because they cannot tell from the outside. That is a better position to be in than when you take off your clothes. People say, "Oh, you look much better when you wear clothes than you do when you're not wearing clothes." So keep that in mind. You want to look more attractive naturally than using enhancements. So your sexual marketplace value will vary, but it's based on a relative, not an absolute score. So you might say, I'm an 8. No, you have to be relatively comparable. So if you are in a, and this is very important, if you are in a location where all of the women, on average, are 8, then you all cannot be an 8. From a relative perspective, this will start to fall down because we have to then compare you against the others. So one person will be an 8, the other might be a 7.5, the other will be a 7, the other becomes a 6 by comparing one to the other. As an individual, I can take you who is an 8 here to another market and you become a 6. Or I can take someone who's a 6 in one market to another location and they'll become an 8. For example, London has the highest population in the United Kingdom. It also has the highest number of international residents. And so you have people from all areas of the world. And therefore, you have people who are relatively very attractive. Relatively. If you were to travel to Northumberland, you might find a girl who is very attractive there, who is an 8. But once you bring her to London, you might score her a 6. Because in Northumberland, maybe there are fewer women and fewer attractive women. Whereas in London, there are more women and a lot more attractive women. So keep that in mind, that location and geography matters. Which is why for women, from a strategic perspective, it's better to be, if you're looking to settle down, it's better to be a big fish in a small pond than a small fish in a big pond. If you're in Chester, you might find that if you are attractive, the opportunities for you to find someone is much better if there are men available. And if you're average, the opportunities might even be much higher than if you are based in London, because you're compared to so many more people. So keep that in mind. And finally, it's important to understand that your sexual marketplace value also deals with your fitness. And I'll talk about this when we move to the next section. But in a nutshell, that's your SMV. Not complicated, but men will give you a score. We meet you, we think, oh, she's a 6. And the scoring system by men is not done as elaborately as I've done. Sometimes it's done subconsciously. Very quickly, we look at you and we say, oh, she's dressed well. She looks good. Long hair, thick hair, beautiful eyes, long legs, slim. She's a dress size 6, dress size 8. Oh, she's an 8. Now, we haven't seen you naturally, but we make that assumption and we compare you to the next woman. So ladies, keep that in mind as you interact with men. Now, in the next section, let me bring this back. We will move to your non-sexual marketplace value and then finally your fertility value.